Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is SlammerIV, and I'm delighted to be bringing you yet another match of Littlewargame. Today, I have the privilege to bring a replay analysis commentary video to you on the map Silent Fjords. In the top right, we have in the blue trunks Rerks. And his opponent in the bottom left, in the red, is the one and only Mech mastermind, Rynus. And today, we're going to see these two excellent players face off against each other. Right now, we have a Workshop first expand coming out from Rynus, and a one den expand coming out from Rerks. Already strange deviation. We have a mill before castle from Rynus. So Rynus is preparing for some early pressure with his mech units. So it's going to be up to Rerks to scout this out and then defend, while his castle is already coming down. So Rerks immediately spots what's going on, and let's see what his response will be to seeing the mill. We have a mill cancel. Wow, that's wild. We have a mill cancel from Rynus. Very unexpected. When you cancel a building, you lose a percentage of the gold. I want to say it's 10 to 15%. So that's a pretty significant hit that Rynus took when he canceled that, and it also delays his castle pretty significantly. So I'm a little surprised by that. Keep a close eye on that worker tab to see how things are going. Also a nasty supply block from Rynus. So really, okay, interesting game. We have a dragon, a fortress already coming down, and a tower. Really strange game. I want to say, if I had to guess, this is kind of a meta game between these two players. I suspect Rerks goes for a lot of 2-den plays, and that mill is often a proactive response to facing a 2-den, because you can get those gyros out early and harass across the map. Obviously, Rerks is getting those towers because he scouted the mill, so he's still in the headspace of my opponent is going one base all in on me, so I need to cover. There's really no way to get anti-air early in the game, so you need a tower in each mineral line to stop the gyros from hurting you. So it makes sense from Rerks' side. The fast castle is also, fortress, excuse me, is also a nice touch. It's definitely something that I like to do myself when facing Mech, because basically once you get dragons out, you really lengthen the game. Like, you stop all early shenanigans, you force your opponent to have to go for things like a advanced workshop and a couple ballistae before he can even think about attacking you, right? So I like this choice from Rerks. Really good scouting from Rerks with his wolves. He's seeing that third base coming up, so he knows it's safe to take his own third base. He's cut a lot of wolves. Even Rynus there acknowledging the good scouting from Rerks. He's cut a lot of wolves, so his economy is in a really nice place, and he's been able to afford these pretty fast dragons without cutting a lot of other things like a third base. Usually, you would have to get 2 dens and a good number of wolves, and that would really delay your third base timing or your dragon timing. But Rerks is able to actually get everything he wants pretty quickly because of that. So nice play there. Rynus, on the other hand, has also made kind of a good read on the situation. He is kind of abusing the fact that Mech often is the more aggressive in this situation, because you have those really deadly 2-base pushes. Beast really has to respect that, or at least scout for it. So Rynus is kind of getting away with very few units. He's only got 3 Gatlings on the field. I'm going to really quickly check upgrades. I wasn't paying attention, but no, Rynus has not produced any. He has not produced the Gatling speed upgrade. So because he doesn't have speed, it's actually quite risky for him to be running around with these Gatlings. But he's also been keeping an eye on the wolf count, and he's known that Rerks has not produced a ton of wolves yet, so he kind of knows that he's a little bit safe. Bit of miscontrol here. He could have picked off this worker and left, but he does save the Gatling, so no harm, no foul I'm noticing though there's a pretty significant worker advantage for Rynus. I'm not sure if that's just a macro, better macro from our red mech player, or if Rerks, because of the dragon production here. I'm noticing some errors here from Rerks. His one layer is producing 2 dragons, the other is only producing 1, which is a bit unfortunate. He could have had 2 dragons, he only has 1 now. And he's going to have to show the dragons when he kills these Gatlings. Good damage already coming out from Rerks, I think, or Rynus. I think he killed maybe on the order of 2 workers here, which is really nice. He might get a third. No, he doesn't get a third. But that opens up a nice handful of worker advantage for our mech player. And he already has Ballistic coming out. I don't know why he would get a fortress. Maybe he's later down the line hoping to get dragons. I don't know. That's kind of a weird choice, but, you know, whatever. It's a pretty small investment to see. Second advanced workshop going down, a couple towers, all good stuff to keep him safe from dragon harass. There's really nothing these early dragons will do at this point. Except keep Rerks safe from things like drops, which is really nice. So he picks up this drop right here, and this really shouldn't do too much damage. Interesting to point out, we have Rerks transitioning into the mech. Okay, here we go. First rocks coming out, they hit the tower. Now he's going to retarget to the main mineral line, but Rerks is on top of it and removes his workers. So no problem there, and this drop will get cleaned up pretty easily. If he runs into the main base, he's just going to run into a tower and get destroyed. So one more arrow, and that will kill there. And yeah, we have a nice defense from Rerks. Only 1 rock hitting, but it looks like that was not a +1 upgraded catapult, so it only did a third damage. Okay. So we're going to kind of gear up for a longer game here. Both players are kind of securing their next phase. Rerks is going straight for that mech play, but he's a little playing catch-up because his infrastructure is slightly more behind his opponents. Meanwhile, Rynus is going for dragons, which is kind of crazy. That'll really catch Rerks off guard. It's a bit of a gamble, though. I'm not sure how much I like it, because it does kind of assume that Rerks is not going to continue to build dragons. Which Rerks is not. Rerks has cut dragon production at 2. And this is kind of a nice response from Rynus, because it seems like he's taking the assumption that because he's seen workshops, that means that he's going to assume that there's going to be not a ton of dragons being produced, which is a good assumption. And of course, he already has Balliste, so he already has kind of a leg up if it would go to a late game dragon versus dragon scenario. So not a terrible play here from Rynus. I don't mind it. It's pretty interesting. Now the one advantage that Rerks is going to have is he's going to have slightly better upgrades. He's got 2 upgrade facilities going at once instead of 1. And his 4th base was up quite a bit sooner. You can see Rynus is only now securing his 4th base, so Rerks is kind of staying slightly one tempo. Oh, excuse me, he already has 5 bases, so I do like the way Rerks is playing this in the sense that he's really staying a step ahead in the eco game, and really good micro from his workers here. He's not taking too much damage. The thing that I would like to see from Rerks is I would really love to see more dragons, because I think dragons are just such a good unit that even for scenarios like this, I think it's really helpful to have a flock of 6 of them, rather than just 2. I think 6 to 8 dragons is a really good number to sit at, and that's what I would go for. But definitely, if we look at income real quick, we can see that Rerks is taking a pretty significant lead. His current income is significantly more, almost 500 gold more, and his total is already several thousand ahead of Rerks, or of Rynus's. So really good econ coming out from our blue player here. So I would say good advantage for Rerks right now. The only thing that he doesn't know about is these dragons, so it's going to be curious to see how many that Rynus can pool. But do note that there's still no dragons on the field, and as soon as these are scouted, Rerks can start to respond. He already has advanced workshops coming out, so I feel like these dragons won't just win the game or anything. Oh, this is going to be a lot of dead workers. Ooh, nice hit from Rynus. It looks like he does lose several. One thing that I'm seeing Rerks not do, but that he really should do is, and just kind of an advice for anyone playing Littlewargame, is when you have situations like this, it's always good to right-click the watchtower on the airship, because the watchtower will switch priority to the units that drop, things like catapults and ballistae, which have more HP than the airship, and really the airship is the big danger. If you can kill the airship, then any units that are out will immediately die. So Rerks now spots that Rynus has dragons out, so it looks like, yeah, he's going to queue up a couple more dragons himself. It's now 4 dragons to 3, and Rynus also has nice ballistae numbers. But now Rynus has kind of free reign to run around with his dragons and dropships, so it's going to be up to Rerks now to kind of defend this situation. A little bit miscontrol from Rynus. Some of his ballistaes are not fighting. Meanwhile, in the center of the map, Rynus was doing a little bit of an attack, and Rerks is also pushing in, but a lot of catapults getting wrecked by the vision being provided by that dragon. So really good play coming out of Rynus at this time. And it looks like this will eventually get cleaned up. But really, Rerks is struggling to deal with the air threat that Rynus is putting up. It's really a combination of the air units that Rerks has, and also the added ballistae that Rerks has. So Rerks is scrambling to produce units, but really good engagements from Rynus here on both fronts. He basically won both battles, and he also got a lot of worker damage. So the econ advantage that we saw before, it still exists for Rerks. Rerks is actually still making more money, and if he can secure this 5th base, he'll be fine. But the situation is still not as good as it was for our blue player. So this engagement is a little more sketchy for Rynus. A couple more of his catapults got sniped through, and more catapults are coming in from Rerks. Interesting play here. Rynus is kind of just running a couple catapults into the army of Rerks. Rerks is a little bit out of position. He should move his units forward more. If we just quickly check the unit tab, Rynus now has a 2-dragon lead, and he still has a nice ballistae army, although a couple of these ballistaes are very low, and they will get sniped off very soon. The main problem is these catapults and these ballistae right now. Once these are dealt with, Rerks should be able to handle the push, but Rynus is doing a really good job of really using, I feel like his micro is a little bit better with his dragons and his other units in general, and he's just been able to trade pretty efficiently in these fights. Even now, we have workers running around drawing a lot of catapult fire. However, eventually Rerks' catapults are going to track down what Rynus has, and we are going to have a clean victory, or at least, I don't know about a cleanup for Rerks here. Again, looking at the dragon count, we still have a nice advantage for, that was a really good AoE hit from our blue player. But this dragon is not long for this world. Looking at the unit counts, we have no more ballistae for Rynus. That's something that he really needs to be adding on, and he is, of course. If we do a quick upgrade check, we have +3 on our catapults for Rynus, while Rerks has +3, +1, and no more upgrades coming. Both players are really strapped for cash, as they've been trading really expensive armies quickly. Again, I think you're going to see here that Rynus is a bit more of an experienced mech player than Rerks. His control, it seems to be very good in these situations. But at the same time, the flanking catapults from the top are doing good execution. As soon as these dragons die, there's no more vision for Rynus' catapults, so they're getting wrecked from the north. However, this engagement does seem to be going pretty well for Rynus. Rynus, I think, has a few more catapults. A couple catapults are peeled away to the south trying to hit this base. However, they're attacking the castle, not the mines, so most of those workers are not dying. One thing I'm seeing is Rynus is pretty low on workers. He's only at 37 here. So Rerks, again, just needs to hold on a little bit longer. If he can keep defending this 5th base, I think he's going to be doing a good job. It's really unfortunate he didn't Q hit on these workers, because Rerks would have, I think, taken a major advantage if he had done that. In games like this, sometimes the smallest of margins do make a difference. I like the mixing in of Gatlings by Rerks here. I think running Gatlings into the fight and kind of running to the back and kiting with them can be really efficient. Rerks needs to make sure he brings the rest of his forces into this fight. Same for Rynus. Rynus is rallying units desperately. He's 4 dragons to 4 dragons, a couple Ballistae. It's interesting. I kind of like this Neo Mech where you use dragons, because dragons are very tanky. They force Ballistae really much, and they provide a lot more tankiness than dropships do, because vision is so important for catapult versus catapult, because catapults have such long range. You really want as much vision as you possibly can. So the fact that these dragons provide all this vision is really interesting and important. Meanwhile, this engagement is really hard to see what's going on. Everyone is getting destroyed. I feel like the Ballistae of both players are getting taken out, but it looks like Rynus is going to win the air fight, at least temporarily. However, the ground fight is going to be in favor of Rerks, as his catapults kind of have a 360 surround, and also have a bit of this high ground. Meanwhile, one more Ballistae from Rerks joins the fight, but it's getting focused down. Rynus is doing a really good job of focusing down Ballistae in these fights, and he is left with a couple of dragons. But the caveat with this situation is he's getting pushed back by the catapult fight, and if he loses this catapult fight, then his bottom right base is completely exposed, and Rerks' top right will be safe. So it's really hard to see exactly who's going to be winning here. I feel like it looks like Rerks is actually taking this fight. I really would love if he would peel off 2 catapults like he did before to hit that base. Again, Rerks is up 1 more base than his opponent, as he has secured the top left. So he still has a nice income advantage in this fight. And he also is up a couple of workers. But again, looking at the dragon counts, it's 4 dragons for Rerks. It looks like Rerks is a little bit ahead of his opponent. If we look at the income, income is interesting because it says that Rerks has lost significantly more, so we can see that Rynus is taking better fights, but he's also mined significantly more, which is why he's still slightly ahead, even though Rynus has a pretty great army here. The one thing I'm curious about is that dragon count. I think, ooh, nice fight here. I would just stick these dragons on all these workers, because dragons aren't really contributing that much to the fight, so if he could just focus down all these workers, that would be a significant advantage. Meanwhile, Rynus is parking himself in the middle of the map. Looks like he might counterattack this right base and also cut off the reinforcements. Looks like we have a nice 6 or 7 or 8 catapults to the top, which really need to be in this fight, because if Rynus crushes this army and then goes to fight this army, divide and conquer, he's going to do really well here. Meanwhile, he did lose his bottom right base, so he is now down another base. So he's down 2 bases compared to his blue opponent, but he's taking better fights. However, pushing in with catapults is tough. You're going to take damage. It's just natural. And his dragon count is low. He's got 4 Ballistae. Technically, Rerks could probably sack this base and maybe just kill this base would be the better choice. I think the key here for Rerks is to make sure he doesn't lose too many of his dragons, because I think if he can secure the dragon count, he will do well here. And he's 6 to 1 dragon, so he has several dragons around, and there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 Ballistae in the fight here. So if he can just use his Ballistae maybe as vision. Oh, this is really good for Rynus. He's crushing this, or for Rerks, he's crushing this force, and I think Rynus is in deep trouble now. This army is now surrounded by all those catapults I was talking about earlier. Have now gotten together and are now fighting together, and so this army from Rerks is gonna get crushed. There's only 4 catapults left, and there's about 10 catapults from Rerks pushing up. I think this might be the beginning of the end for our red mech player. Unfortunately, I think even though he took some really good engagements, the amount of forces that Rerks had was just a little bit too much, and now there's really no recourse for Rynus. He's asking how many bases, because he should realize that this top left is probably taken. He hasn't scouted that in a while. I like the bird from Rerks to keep an eye on this left base. Generally, Rynus really should be scouting a little bit more, but he just didn't have the time. I think Rynus did the right thing of trying to secure this base, because if you take this position, it's so critical. You would secure this base, you would kill this base, and you would secure this base. So you get to basically control 3 bases at once. So this is the right place to be fighting. But he just wasn't able to do it. Really, really exciting game. here between these two players. It looks like Rerks is going to take the victory. I have to say, one of the most complete games I've seen Rerks play in a long while. Really, really nice, nice game from him there. I appreciate it. Really interesting to go from... Both players used some very cool tactics here, where we saw Beast opening into Mech, utilizing slight dragons just to kind of expand safely, and then transition into beefy Mech. And then Rynus also going for a dragon transition to kind of catch his opponent off guard, which initially really did. He initially had some really good fights, but he wasn't quite able to crush this base completely, and I think his 4th and 5th were just a little too late. Rerks did a really good job grabbing his 4th and 5th bases and 6th bases really on time and with good tempo, and I think that enabled him to have the amount of money to crush the superior engagement and micro of his opponent. So really good game overall. I want to thank Rynus for submitting this replay to me. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will catch you all next time. Oh wait, let me, actually before we do that, let's quickly look at the end plates. And you can see there's a massive 5,000 gold advantage for Rerks. That's so many units. It's really hard to overcome that. So anyway, catch you guys next time.